everyone, LucaYasha, and welcome to our next top 5 video where we do the top 5 fire type Pokemon. Now, I will say this video was meant to be out last week, but due to university and busy life, I couldn't get it made in time. So, here it is now, a bit of a week later, but it does mean I can make it in time for the special Halloween top 5. Anyway, let's talk about the fire types. Fire types are very offensive. I mean, they have quite a lot of powerful moves in their arsenal. Fire Blast, Flamethrower, Overheat, Blast Burn if you want to go to old school. Fire type is just an incredibly damaging type. Most of it is special attacks, but there are a few physicals. Fire Punch throw in there. Flare Blitz is another good one, love Flare Blitz. But they also have access to power-up moves like Sunny Day, so boosting their power. So fire type is a very offensive typing. There are a few defensive fire types out there, but most of the time they are offensive. And of course having access to the burn resistance is nice, and also being able to inflict burn is even nicer. So fire, pure offensive typing. If you want to run a defensive fire type, you can. There are a few Pokemon that can do it, but most times they prioritize in speed and attack. Most of the times they are glass cannons in effect. So, let's move on into my top 5 favourite fire type Pokemon. Number 5. Kicking the list off at number 5 this week is Ninetales. Now this list was very tricky to make for the number 5 spot. There are plenty of fire types that I wanted to include here. One of them being Charizard, one of them being Blaziken. There were tons of fire types I wanted to add. Arcanine, of course, I wanted to add Arcanine. And it was close between Arcanine, Charizard and Ninetales, all Gen 1 fire types. And it was really tough to decide a winner, but in the end I went for Ninetales. Mainly just because I think it's just a beautiful looking Pokemon. I mean, Arcanine is just pure power, and so is Charizard. I like the elegance of Ninetales. It sort of fits the theme. And of course, the lore of the Fire Fox. I'm a Naruto fan. Ayo, I love this thing. So in terms of design, well, it's a nine-tailed fox. Not much you can do with that, except a nine-tailed fox, and it is pretty cool. Like I said, it's a beautiful fire type. And that's one of the things, because people say fire is a destruction thing, but it also means creation and honesty. And the thing is, that's what Ninetales represents to me. It represents the beautiful side of fire. I mean, hell, if we didn't have fire, we wouldn't be where we are today. And Ninetales just looks like the one that would deliver that kind of punishment. In terms of stats and speeds, it's really fast with quite high special defense, surprisingly, and good special attack. And of course, as you saw, it gets access to Drought, Instant Sunlight. And another Pokemon that gets that? Groudon. Ninetales has a move that an ability a legendary has, and that's pretty awesome. I mean, remember that whole thing saying Arcanine was going to be a legendary? Well, I consider this one a bit more legendary. Very close, like I said, to being number 5 was Arcanine, but in the end I had to give it to Ninetales, mainly just because of the drought and the power and the design. I just prefer Ninetales as a look. And of course, Silver Shiny is pretty awesome as well. And of course, with drought you get Solar Beam. So, at number 5 this week, we have Ninetales. Number 4. At number 4 we have Infernape. Now this is where this list gets predictable, because this list is probably going to be one of the shortest in the series, mainly because I'll be repeating myself. Now I've already mentioned Infernape in 2 other lists, the top 5 fighting types and the top 10 starter Pokemon, so I really don't want to go over everything again because it'll sound like I'm repeating myself, but let's do the basics. Attack, power and speed. This thing has it all. It's just a glass cannon mon. It's really powerful. Speed is just immaculate. And of course, like I said, the design of Infernape is what sold me to it. That fire crown. I want the blue shiny GameFreak. Give it to me. Blue flame crown. That would be awesome. So I've already mentioned Infernape so many times on my list before. And really, the future ones on this list are quite predictable as well. There's only, I think Ninetales is pretty much the only pure fire type on this list. Could be wrong, I could be forgetting someone. Nope, she is the only pure fire type on this list. So this is where the list will have repeat offenders, because I think that this list actually has the most repeaters out of all my types. Mainly just because I love these types so much and these Pokemon so much. So Infernape is just pure power and I love it for it. Infernape is just really fun to use. I won't go into too much detail about him as I've mentioned him in 2 other lists before to better detail, but let's just say power, speed, that is what Infernape is. So at number 4 we have Infernape. Number 3. Taking 3rd place this week we have Volcarona. Now, Volcarona was already in my top 5 bug types as well, spoilers if you haven't seen that yet, but Volcarona is just a pure badass mon. I wish this thing was the pseudo of Generation 5, or at least a duo pseudo with Hydreigon, because it deserves it. The power this thing boasts is amazing, and Bug and Fire is pretty damn unique. Granted, quad weakness to Rock, which is a bit sucky, but Giga Drain can fix that right up. Now, Volcarona, like I said, is just power. You get access to moves like Quiver Dance, Will-O-Wisp, so you can run tanky Volcarona if you want. I mean, tanky Volcarona is one of my favourite things to do because no one expects it. Because I usually just go bold natured and then boost up that special attack with your Quiver Dances and your speed and everything. Volcarona is just a really, really cool mon. I mean, like I said, if it was the pseudo, I think more people would use it just because of that pseudo title, but Volcarona is just incredibly cool to me. And the thing is, it was very close not to put him at number 2, because number 2 is also to a Generation 5 mon. It was really tough to decide between the two of them. But when I did, I was happy with my decision. So I won't be repeating myself again because this will be a very short list. But number 3 this week, we have Volcarona. Number 2. Taking second place this week, we have Chandelure. Now, Chandelure is one of my favourite fire types of all time, easily in my top 10 favourite Pokemon of all time, actually. In terms of design, I love this thing to death. The purple flames, the way it's ghost and fire, and they worked it so well. I mean, I remember the time when they used to rip on Chandelure. People used to say, oh, it's just a chandelier, Pokemon is lazy. This thing is death incarnate. I will not have anyone insult this thing. It is beautiful, and in the argument of Generation 5 being lazy, the only mon that designed badly, in my opinion, is Garboda, and to be fair to Garboda, it's a pile of rubbish. You can't really make a good looking mon out of rubbish. So let's get back to Chandelure. Chandelure is pure power. I do believe that it has the highest space special attack of all Pokemon, except for Legends and Megas of course, but that's pretty something. I mean, this thing's a glass cannon. Its body's made of glass, so it doesn't surprise me of that. So design, just look at the face on that thing, the yellow eyes, the kind of stitched mouth, it's like it's a pumpkin floating around for Halloween. This is the perfect Halloween mon. If I could go out trick-or-treating, I would trick-or-treat with this thing. Actually, I wouldn't, because this thing is scary. This thing's dex entry is really creepy. All the Litwick family they're all creepy. And that's just one of the things about Chandelure. It's a creepy yet beautiful fire type, and it just really stands out to me like that. In terms of power, it's got really good power. Just slap a choice scarf on that, you're outspeeding. Something will die, unless your opponent's smart. You can run different sets. You can try and run the bold Will-O-Wisp type with Calm Mind, so you can try and build up Chandelure's defenses, but really, the defenses of Chandelures are pretty much non-existent. And that's the thing with most fire types. Most fire types aren't bulky, they are meant to damage. And Chandelure to me is just the perfect representation of that. So claiming second place this week, we have Chandelure. Number 1. And claiming the number 1 spot, if you guys have seen any of my lists before, you would know that this guy would be number 1, the powerful Emboar. Now, like I said, there are plenty of fire starters which people will argue are better than Emboar. Hell, the people say firefighting, the other 2 fire types are better than him, like Infernape and Combusken. Or I keep saying Combusken, Blaziken. But I do not care. Granted, they are more useful in combat, but Emboar to me is just my favourite fire type of all time. I love the design of this thing. For one, Fire Pig. That's awesome. I mean, like I said, this thing has to get a Mega, and when it does, I want it to be like the Mega Swampert for fire types. This thing just getting massive buffed up arms, like pull that fat into muscle, boy. Get a workout tape and just dance. Now, Emboar is just perfect to me. The design, the power, I love this thing. And I really don't care what people say to me, the fact on that. I will always defend Emboar as being my favourite fire fighting type of all time. Probably one of my favourite Pokemon of all time. It is one of my favourite Pokemon of all time. Top 5 easy, it's in there. So in terms of design, I love this thing. Of course, the purple shiny flames. Why are there no other starters that have purple flames? At least blue, and don't dare give me Charizard X. No, it's not a regular Charizard. I want a blue flames, GameFreak. Give them to me. How come a fire fighting type gets them as well as a fire ghost type, but no other fire types can? I know we have Ponyta, but Ponyta's a Ponyta, and Rapidash just looks okay. So in my opinion, Ember, just my favourite fire type of all time. It's got power, a lot of HP, which is surprising, so it's got a bit of bulk. The speed obviously is non-existent, but pack a sucker punch in there and you'll be alright. And of course, reckless boosted Ember just destroys. So even though it may not be the most competitive fire types of all time, for me it just stands out as my favourite of all time. Favourite starter, favorite fire type. We have Ember. And there you have it guys, my top 5 favourite fire type Pokemon. Next week we'll be doing the top 5 flying types, which will be a short list like this one because there will be repeat offenders, because for flying types there are only 2 natural flying types and neither of them are on the list. One of them being a legendary, the other being a pre-evolution. Sorry. But in terms of this list, I really did enjoy making it. This one was probably, even though it was one of the shorter ones, it was the most annoying to record because obviously Pokemon missing, they mess up the recording and it just ruins everything. Choice Scarf into Shadow Ball against the Dodrio, that was my fault. But anyway guys, I hope you all enjoyed this so much. If your favourite fire type wasn't on this list, by all means write down in the comments your favourite fire types. And of course, thank you all so much for watching. I've been LucaYasha, I'll see you all in the next vid. Goodbye.